Welcome back. Uncle Sam's prying eyes prompting privacy concerns among our nation's employers and workers. Just how safe is your info when you're doing business outside the office, though? Joining me now, Sandy Goldgart, Vice President for Regis. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on the show tonight. So you have some interesting examples of how very important information has gotten out into the public, into the marketplace that never was supposed to be there. What happened?
Well, we see this all the time, and it's a growing concern for many companies. You know, at Regis, we operate the world's largest network of fully serviced office space, and we hear these stories that come out of people, for example, hearing things in the elevator and starting a Twitter feed about a company on just gossip they heard in the elevator. So very sensitive information for large banks, large companies. And again, it's all coming out on a Twitter feed that just somebody started because they heard some information that was traded inside of an elevator. Just crazy things. You know,
you don't think about it when you're out and about, but if you're traveling on business, for example, you might stop in a Starbucks and, you know, throw out a couple of emails, but you say that might be the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the first things that we tell people all the time is be aware of your environment. When you're dealing with sensitive information or a sensitive interview or just talking about a sensitive subject within the business, you have to be overly aware of who might be around. You just simply don't know. The world's now filled with 1.2 billion remote workers, so this is a big number of people who are conducting business in coffee shops, in the car, out in other public forums, and you simply don't know who's listening.
Is it bad if you're doing work at home? I mean, is there a danger there?
You know, not so much. I think most people can control, for the most part, who's listening in, although, you know, I guess some of those reports are quite frightening who might be listening in. But for the most part, I think it's a relatively secure place to talk about sensitive subjects.
You've got some advice here, and one of the things you say is use code names for clients and projects. So you shouldn't say, I've got a meeting with Goldman Sachs this afternoon. You should, you know, make up a name, I guess.
Yeah, that's great. We use this all the time internally when you're dealing with a large acquisition or a large project, or even if you're recruiting some high talent into the organization, we create a code name for anything that we're talking about that might be sensitive, that we don't want to get out, that could get in the way. So you might call something Bravo, and that's a code word everyone can talk about because you literally don't know who might be listening in. And you can talk freely about Bravo. You know, nobody cares about Bravo.
Say anything you want to, because nobody knows what it is. What about privacy screens? You say privacy screens are good.
Privacy screens are great. It's a really inexpensive way to keep the content on your laptop, on your PDA, your smartphone, or your tablet as secure as possible when you're sitting next to somebody on the plane, dealing with sensitive information on your laptop, just to keep eyes off of something that might be really interesting to the person next to you or behind you.
Listen, on the plane, there's always somebody next to you with something interesting on their screen. You say leverage technology. What do you mean by that?
Leverage technology is, you know, the cloud computing. There's so many places to store important documents and not risk the fact that you might leave a briefcase. You might leave some important documents behind. For example, I'm traveling 50% of the time, and I don't carry any documents with me. I access all of them through the web. I get them when I need
Sandy,
them and where I need them.
A lot of people don't even think the cloud is safe.
Well, I think a lot of the secure services that you can use, I guess you'd have to be a little selective on which ones we use. But for the most part, we've seen you know, that it's better to have it stored somewhere and go get it when you need it than to have it out in the hands of all your employees. You know,
even
and who knows where that information is pinging. Well, you know, that's the interesting thing. Nobody knowingly, or very rarely knowingly, gives up any of this information. It's those ears and those eyes that see it when you least expect it. That's the big concern.
Sandy, great stuff. Thanks for coming on tonight.
You bet. Thank you.
Still to come.